any complaints about noise or behaviour, then I'll be down on you. Good. Shut up.
We did have a good control on what was going on our manor.
What does the pig want this time?
We got to know people. You got to know the villains, you got to know the nice people.
Patrolling alone after dark, the fresh-faced apprentices soon got wise to life on the streets.
You knew that if you got into trouble, you blew your whistle 3 times. That was the way you summoned help. And either somebody heard it or they didn't. So self-defense came into use on fairly frequent occasions.
You're a bastard!
It was hard. It was hard, it was scary.
I can remember being assaulted one night as a 19-year-old. I was knocked unconscious.
What's that?
Very thankfully, one of the people that were standing by actually went to a phone box and rang the station.
Well, it's a waste of time.
No.
It's an absolute waste of time.
Shut up, woman, I can't do nothing.
Friday nights would be fighting with the guys coming out of the pub. That was the sport, you know, take on the local coppers.
Take that, you pig!
My sergeant said to me, don't use that. He says, use that. So I said, well, what do you want me to do? Lick them to death? He said, no, talk to them. And that was the best piece of advice I ever got.
Hello, Mrs. White. More trouble with the lads playing football?
No, they haven't been back, I'm glad to say.
I live on my patch. People get to know me, and so they talk to me. I make a special point of getting to know people who see and hear a lot.
It taught me to speak to the public. You would find yourself talking to somebody who might invite you in for a cup of tea.
There were no such perks on traffic duty. This was an era when you could still get a proper pea super.
You've got to try and visualise. I'm standing there in this dark blue uniform with a helmet with a chrome badge on it and just white armlets, and that's the protection I've got. So anything that came after that was a bonus.
Officers would try anything to protect themselves, no matter how bizarre the idea. This flashing jacket didn't set the world alight when it was trialled in Cheltenham in 1969. Probably for the best. It might not have been a hit with the female officers. After an accident outside Rolls-Royce's factory in Derby, PC Alan King was one of the first to try out this bright idea.
The apprentices at Rolls-Royce made these lights. You took your chrome top off, put the flashing light on and screwed it on with a wing nut. And then you had a lead-acid battery, which you carried on a big webbing belt on your back, and the light used to pulsate. We got some ribald comments, as you can well imagine.
This officer certainly opened himself up to ridicule in 1970. Yugoslavia's #1 traffic cop, Jovan Bilch, had been brought to the UK to promote a new airline route between London and Belgrade. It was a long-held dream to direct the traffic of London. Unfortunately, this keen amateur ballet enthusiast's technique didn't go down too well, bringing chaos to Whitehall. Not speaking a word of English, Jovan thought the UK police were congratulating him. In reality, they were just trying to move him on.
You mustn't dance. Oh no, stand to attention. Stand to attention when directing traffic. You have to look like a police officer at all times and look like you're in control even though you're not, as our drill sergeant would used to say to us.
Coming up on The Real Old Bill, we look back on an era of hard drinking motorists and even harder drinking coppers.
Blow into the tube, please, sir.
What, me? I played a no-nonsense copper in the bill for a long time, so it comes as no surprise I've filmed plenty of scenes propping up a bar in the local boozer.
There's no doubt that everybody works extremely hard during basic training. There is nevertheless time for relaxation and for making friendships which will last you a lifetime.
When I went out learning beats, having finished my training, the constable who was showing me around wouldn't talk to me. And he made it quite plain that he didn't want to be with me. I was interfering with his social life because a lot of policemen used to go into pubs.
In the evening, quite a lot of the guys would go for a drink in the pubs of the area before going on the night shift.
It wouldn't be uncommon for bobbies to end up going having a drink with the villains they dealt with at court. They saw it as, I'm a criminal, if I get caught, then that's fair enough.
I would like you, sir, to tell this gentleman exactly what you've just told me.
Policemen and women were encouraged by their superiors to stop by the local pub. Vital police work could be done over a pint of mild and bitter and a baby sham.
The classroom is only part of the training. Mock practical lessons aim to teach the new officer control of any situation.
You do not get information from the Vicar's Tea Party. In the public houses, you get all sorts of people in there. Villains, hangers-on, normal people. So I got my officers to have 2 or 3 pubs each, and I expected them to visit those pubs once a week.
Being an area constable, I can use my own initiative about when and where I work, and I can wear plain clothes when necessary.
Thing is, I didn't drink much, actually, so I'd have a lemonade or something, and the squad were all drinking down their beer, and you just chat. You stand there and chat and use your eyes, look around, see what's going on.
And you're far more likely to get the odd tip from that than any other way.
There was good news for frustrated desk sergeants in the late 60s. A new gadget threatened to call time on officers drinking on duty.
Unit 6A for collator.
Collator to 6A, receiving.
Can you give me any information on a Mr. Newman?
The police radio was a huge innovation.
Before the introduction of the two-way radio, police communication was very hit and miss.
If you wanted a police officer, you rang the police station rang the police box. The revolving light would rotate on the box. The police officer saw that, then he took the call.
Collator to 6A, do you receive me? Constable Gray, Unit 6A for duty, Sergeant.
There we were, walking around with what the comedians at the time called the talking brooch, the personal radio. And that was revolutionary.
And will Mr. Stead collect his dog from the station?
Beat coppers were saying, oh, bloody hell, they can get me all the time now. They can get me from the nick.
Wilco, I'm going down to the auction rooms in Bailey Street.
This newfangled technology proved to be a bit of a challenge for some beat bobbies.
It was just that we had 2 halves that had rechargeable batteries, and you got to make sure the transmitting part worked, the receiving part worked, then you'd stick one in each pocket and out you went.
10, El Lima, Oscar.
A common mistake would be you would leave the police station inadvertently, leaving the handset on the desk. You could hear the police station shouting of you, but you couldn't actually respond back because your handset was a mile and a half back at the police station. That was a common fault.
A colleague of mine was on a bicycle and he was almost in tears. And the sergeant said, well, what's the matter? And he said, well, I dropped my radio. And the sergeant said, well, it's not the end of the world, is it? And he held out a brown paper bag and said, a lorry ran over it.
724, where are you? Have you heard any more? No, sir. Where the hell is he, Tom?
Well, this is the problem, sir. We just can't figure it out.
I had put the radio on top of the police car, got back in the car, drove off, and I said to my crewmate, have you got the radio? No, he said, you had it. And I went, oh my God. So we retraced our steps, and there in 101 pieces at the first bend was our radio. And it had fallen off the roof of the car as we were going along and smashed. They weren't happy, but they did change it for me.